What up, y'all? It's your man, Abuamerican. I'm back with some stuff that you guys might find boring if you're not into GPU mining. So, this, as you can see, spins nicely, and this, it's damaged. So I'm going to replace it with this. Now, as you can see, it is slightly different, but what's important is it is 95 millimeters, just like this one. And it is the same voltage. It's 12 volts and 0.5 amps. But it does have 4 cables, but it has a 4-pin connector. But this one has a 4-pin connector and 3 cables. I don't know if it's going to make a difference or it's going to fry something out or whatever else. I hate experimenting with this stuff, but let's give it a try. According to technical stats and numbers and everything, it should work fine. But this GPU has been overheating because this fan no longer spins unless I spin it with my finger. It'll spin for maybe like 5 minutes and then it'll stop again. And as you can see, it's obviously damaged. So let's take this thing apart and see what happens. So there are some slight differences that are cause for concern. First off, this is the original. This is a female and this is a male. And so that means in order to connect this, I'm going to have to do some fancy fandangled stuff with this here. I could probably plug this in right here since it's bridged. I could probably just plug this in directly and it should work since they are bridged together here. But one of the other things that is a cause for concern is the color coding. So what we have here is, if we look at the connectors, this one has red, black, yellow, blue, and green. And this one has blue, green, yellow, and black. Now the blue and the yellow and the black are all the same. The only thing that's different is the green is one of the different colors, so it doesn't really match up with anything. So, but I don't think that makes a difference really. I think the wiring is the wiring. So I have two options here. One, I can cut this off, and then cut this off, and then bridge this. All right, plug that in there. It's just simple of plugging these in through here. So just connect that to there, or I could just plug this in and then tuck all these wires in and out of the way. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bridge this to the female. I'm going to cut off this male, cut off this female, and then bridge these 2 wires and then just plug it in and hope it works. Let's do it and see what happens. Okay, so here we are. So what I did was I put this female to this. So I cut off the male end. Oops, got flux on me, which I'll explain in a second. So I cut off the male off of this fan, and then I put it in sequence with the color sequence with this connector and the wires, so that it'll be in sequence with these connectors. The only thing that was out of sequence in terms of color was the red. On this one it's green, but the other colors are the same. So the black, yellow, and blue were all the same. The only one that was different was the green. On this one, the green is the red, and it's still in the same order. So when I plug this in to here, what's going to happen is the black is going to be with the black, the yellow is going to be with the yellow, the green is going to be with the red, and the blue is going to be with the blue. And so it should technically be according to, this in sequence. Now, as you can see, this cable is really long now. So what I did was I cut them both long. So I cut it short here at the head, and I cut this long here at the head of this secondary fan that I have right here. And that's because, and you want to do this, and the only thing I'm worried about is because I have to stuff all this inside of the GPU, and I'm going to tape it down with electrical tape. I'm just worried about it getting in the way of the spinning of the actual functionality of the fan. So what I did was I soldered the wires together because they're super fine, super small wires, and I didn't want to try and wrap them and then you try and tape it. And taping this thing was a nightmare because I taped them individually and then I taped this over top of it. It was just an absolute nightmare because these wires are absolutely tired. So what I did was I just took some flux and some solder and I soldered the wires together, and then I taped it together so it would stick together when I tape it. And you don't get those accidental pull aparts. Then you got to pull the GPU apart and then find the wire that's disconnected and put it. So I just taped it up. So let's get this thing inside and see if it gets running. Another point I forgot to mention before I was talking about like the size of the fans. Now these are both 95 millimeter fans. They're both, the same diameter. And one thing that was also important to look at was the mounting bracket sizes. These are 28 millimeters apart each. And I actually used a slide rule when it got here to actually check that they're the same, because that's going to mount on here and you can't have different sizes. I am going to have an extra screw because on this one, you see there's a screw here that holds this down extra for the wires. This one is missing that. This doesn't have that extra screw, so I'm going to have an extra screw left over. You ever have those situations like there's an extra screw and you don't know why? This time I know why. I'll have an extra screw. So I just want to break that down, that you also need to check out when you're looking for these fans, and this is the number you use right here. So you use the model number T1295SU. The SM is 0.25 amps, and they are far more numerous than the SUs, and I don't know why. And the SUs come in multiple sizes. You got 88 millimeters, 75 millimeters. You want to make sure you get the right size for your GPU. It doesn't have to be the exact same one, although they both say ASUS. You see they're both different designs. I'm hoping the airflow is going to be sufficient, because you see it is a completely different design. And so I'm hoping airflow will be enough to like bring the temperatures down. If not, then I'm going to put this one inside of there, this other one, which I could have done, because it's, but I have the same problem. I'd have to cut this off, put a female end on it. So, I'm not saved no matter what I do. I mean, it was in sequence actually with the one that I cut off, but I just want to try this one because I think it looks cool. So yeah, let's put this in here and see what happens. So I had multiple problems. And here, as you see, this is part of it right here. This thing I couldn't tape down. It just kept on popping up. The tape wouldn't stick to the surface. And so I hot glue gunned it. And as we know, GPUs get hot. This is right next to the radiator. It could be the case that the hot glue gets soft again and it disconnects. And then the wires end up against the radiator plate. I don't know, the cooling plate. We'll see what happens. But I hot glued it in there. Hopefully, it stays in place. And then I got the sequencing wrong. So basically, I got it reversed. But it shouldn't matter, just because the electricity is going to flow in one direction no matter what. It's just the colors are reversed, but the electrical flow isn't. So the wires are still in the proper sequence, but I had the colors reversed. Just goofy mistake. So I'm about to put this back together and then plug it in. And hopefully nothing, zaps or blows up or whatever else. It'll be really upsetting if it does, but it is what it is. I like toying around with this stuff, and that's why I'm doing it. Okay, so fan is installed. As you see, it's free spinning like it's compatriot. One thing I forgot to tell you guys, when you put this back together, use a magnetic screwdriver. You see the screws down there? You have to actually release those 4 screws. And what happens is, because the screw head is smaller than this like little V section in here, you have to put it in and then move it down this way. If you don't use a magnetic screwdriver, it'll be almost impossible to put these screws in. Obviously, there's a screw that, on this one, as you can see down here, that is missing. There it is. Blurry. That is missing on this one. But otherwise, everything's the same, so I got one extra screw. Gonna plug this in and see if it works. It doesn't blow anything up. And I'm hoping that this design right here, provides proper cooling. It should be running around like 72 degrees Celsius. It was running around 82 degrees Celsius, 10 degrees Celsius higher. So if I get below 80 and I'm like 75, 76, I'm happy. But if it runs at the 80s, then what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go ahead and do the whole female plug thing with this and then plug this one in, because I don't know, this one looks a little bit more beefy. But these things right here, they look like they're shaped to, move air. This little section here is just supposed to look fancy fandango. That's why I put it on there, just because it looks cool. But I saved enough cable and hot glued it in here that and you can remove that hot glue, guys, with a heat gun. I have a heat gun. You just blow hot air on it, and that hot glue will come back up. It's not a problem. But yeah, I left enough cable that if I have to cut it again and make a new connection, I can do that and not have to worry about running out of cable or anything like this, or having a really sloppy cable inside there. Let's go plug this up and see what happens. Okay, so the moment of truth. On boot up, when the BIOS loads, you should see the GPU fan spin a bit. and absolutely nothing happened. The other ones are spinning. Some of them are spinning actually, and this one isn't. I mean, it's booting up as normal, but some of them spin, some of them didn't. I guess what we're gonna have to do is wait for the system to boot up, start mining, and then see what's going on. I ain't gonna lie, I'm nervous, guys. Okay, guys. So I don't know if you can see it back there. It is spinning, and here's the crazy thing. It's actually the coolest running GPU now. Weird thing. Hold on, maybe it's not. They're all running kind of hot now. Weird. Anyway, what happened was, it's running standard temperatures, basically. This is the one right here. It's running 7647. It's running at the same temperature as all the rest. Okay, so what happened was, remember when I told you guys I changed those wires up and I had the wires backwards? What happened was I just plugged it in wrong. The stupid plug I plugged in wrong. And I cut the third cable. There was like the original had 3 cables, not 4. This has 4 cables, not 3. So, well, I'll show you guys out, you know, in my work area when I'm done with this video. But needless to say, it's running fine. And yeah, it feels like it has more airflow than the other one, actually. I mean, I'm feeling just like this, and you can't see my hand in there. And I mean, it's actually moving more air, this weird design, than the other one. So maybe that makes sense that it's actually running about the same temperatures, if not cooler, than the other ones. Anyway, guys, look, I don't advise you do this stuff. You know, changing fans around like this, cutting wires, splicing wires, 74 degrees Celsius. It's running standard temperatures, about the same as rest. This guy is cooler than a polar bear's toenails. It's always running icy cool. Guaranteed to void your warranty doing stuff like this. So not advisable. You do have the right to repair your electronics, but it's not something I would advise you to do. I like to tinker and play around, and so I do. And I'm not hurting for cash, so if, you know, I get a 400 euro GPU that goes bum on me, I'm not really crying, you know, in my pillow at night. But still, it's not something you want to do. Everything over here is hashing fine, as you can see. We are at, where are we? Like, my eyes won't focus on this. 444.910. So we're gonna get back up to 445. We usually hash it around 445. And yeah, we're back live, guys. And that thing's back there spinning like crazy. I actually do wonder if it would have worked if I plugged it in right with the 4th cable. I don't know if it would have made a difference. But that thing is back there. It's like, you know, it's doing its job like it's supposed to be. Yeah, awesome. I'm glad that worked out. But you want to know something crazy? There's that crazy fan I put in the outside there. That's the one back there. That's the crazy fan that I put in there just because I thought it was cool. It was crazy. I'll tell you what happened. I put this thing together and I started it, and I put the plug in wrong, and the fans wouldn't spin. And so I had to turn it off real fast because this thing went up to like 100 degrees Celsius instantaneously. And so I had to take this apart and put it back together multiple times, and then I cut that wire in the middle because I thought it was that 4th wire. So I cut it, and I was like, maybe this will fix it. And then that's when I realized I had the plug in wrong. So when I put it back together, I put it back together like just with the bare minimum. I put the faceplate screws on so that I could put it in the rack and then test it. And so I was putting the screws in now while it was running, and I dropped one of the screws down there somewhere. Now I gotta go crawl around on the ground and find it because that screw is missing. Anyway, guys, I'll finish off this video here in a second and give you my synopsis on everything and, yeah, self-repair. Okay, so I found that screw is actually underneath the motherboard, and the system's been running like 20-30 minutes now. I got it all hooked up again. This is what it looks like because I had to pull this thing out while I was looking for the screw down here, but it actually was down there. And yeah, you can see it's running at full speed. I really wish I hadn't cut that 4th wire. I would like to have known what it, you know, if it would still work. It was going to run faster with the extra wire. I don't know. But it's running at the same system speed as the rest. Uh, yeah, I can't say that this is. No, I'd repeat it again. But as you can see, it is a different fan. You can see that it's a different design than the other fans on all of these. Like I said, I just put it in there just to give it a try. I actually have an original from China. It'll be a backup in case another one goes bad. But yeah. So here's that broken fan. And this has 3 wires going into it. And I cut the 4th wire thinking that it was wrong. But actually what happened was I had the male end plugged in backwards. Goofy me. But I ended up cutting that, what was the green wire, the green and red that I matched together, I ended up cutting that. And I probably didn't have to. I don't know what difference it would have made, but anyway. This is the broken one. You can see it goes from a 4 to a 3, and I don't know why. And so now this is running the same way. I would have really have liked to left that 4th wire hooked up to see if it would have made a difference of any sort. Highly doubtful it would have, but hey, it is what it is. Guys, I would say it's manageable, it's doable. You do have to do some fuddle work. I mean, these wires are extra small. I'd say solder the wires if you're going to actually do this, and be prepared to void your warranty. You know, I'm pretty sure that is a warranty void there, even though it's 12 volts, it's 50 amps, and it's the same number. They're obviously different fans, and they're from different systems. Obviously, I think it was like from a 580 Ti or something, or whatever. Not a 580 Ti. What are those things called? The RX 580s or something like this. They're the same size, but it's definitely putting parts that were not meant to be in this GPU in this GPU. And so if that doesn't, void the warranty, I don't know what does. But yeah, it's doable, guys. And I don't consider myself to be some sort of tech genius or whatnot. So there you go, guys. Nah.